the Spurs News Podcast, your home for all things Tottenham Hotspur. Now, here are your hosts.
Hello everybody and welcome to a new episode of the Spurs News Podcast. I am Sam. Delighted to say this week I have a special guest host joining me to talk all things Tottenham. I'm not quite sure, I don't know whether I should introduce you to your full name or whether what everybody knows you as. It's Coach Ali. How are you?
Hi. Good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, as Tottenham's concerned, not great, but other than that, I'm okay.
Yeah, I mean, you're a Spurs fan, so, at any given point, you're
always
close to
suffering.
But
yeah, always.
Also, I'm loving your very American intro.
Thank you.
Do you have a wide audience in America?
We actually do. Yeah, we get about we get on average 1,500 to 2,000 listeners. So we're not one of the big podcasts, but
That's pretty big. That's a decent audience, though.
I
do know there are a lot of Spurs fans in the States, though.
Yeah, and there are, and we I'm not quite sure. I mean, the voiceover thing is a friend of mine is a radio kind of. He does radio commercials, like the voice of radio commercials in America. And I just sort of nudged him one day and said, "Hey, I'm doing a podcast. Will you do this for me?" And he did it. So it probably would have cost me a lot of money.
I like it. I'm here for it.
Yes, thank you. And the thing is, though, he kind of did it for me. And then every now and again, I kind of hit him up with like really random requests, like, "Hey, could you record this?" After a while, he got a little bit bored, I think. So we've got like a mix of his voice on the intro and outro, but then it's me putting on my best radio voice for other stuff. But it's fun. It's funny anyway. But we've got a few things to go through now on the show. We have various features that we do. One of them is we open up to questions and comments from social media, and I am often criticised by our listeners because I'll do a whole show, then get to the questions and go, "Oh, I've already answered all of these." So I made a promise a few weeks ago that I'd open the show with the questions every week now. So
That's a good shout. If
you are feeling brave, we're going to step into social media and get some comments and questions. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Now it's time for your comments from our social media.
Did you like that one as well?
I'm loving it. This is the thing, because you can't see me.
No.
You can't see the smile that has lit up my face.
See? Yeah, that's good.
Little segues.
Now, we've got nothing from Twitter because basically that's a cesspool and I don't even ask.
Fair enough.
So it's your choice. We can start with Facebook or we can start on Instagram. Where would you like to start?
Let's go Insta, because I'm not actually on Facebook anymore. So let's go Insta.
You've quit Facebook?
Oh, I left Facebook years and years. I left Facebook so long ago that when I left Facebook, it wasn't technically possible to delete your account.
Wow.
You had to deactivate it. That's all you were able to do.
Wow, you
really
did leave.
Yeah. And then a few years after that, they made it possible to actually delete the account. So I deleted it. But yeah, I haven't been on a Facebook for a very long time.
Well,
but, I don't hate Facebook. I've got love for the people that have asked questions on there. We will get to them.
Good start.
But let's
well done.
start with Insta.
Nicely done. Good segue to get back there. We open up with Chris, who sends in this question. Hi, I hope you're all well. I have a question. Is Kulusevski now our most important player other than Kane? From his introduction against Liverpool, the squad looks so much more balanced and he seems to bring that creativity that we miss so much. Do you also think if we signed another central defender or two, that Dyer could have a role to play in holding midfield? So we got two questions there. We'll open with the Kulusevski one. What's your thoughts? So,
as a coach, it's really hot. I'm all like, no one player is bigger than the team.
Correct. Yeah.
As a Spurs fan, as we all know, if anyone knows anything about me, they know that I'm obsessed with Harry Kane.
Yes.
So I support the Harry Kane team. Okay, thanks, Pep.
Yes.
No, but I do think I love Kulu. I think he's great, and I think we really missed him while he's been out with injury.
I
And I
agree.
think it showed immediately, like when he came on
Yeah.
on the weekend, and it was like pass, bang, goal. And
It
it was like, yes,
was that
literally.
instant of an impact. It was.
Yeah.
Do you think? And again, coming from my point of view, sort of more of a layman, just a fan point of view, for you looking at a coach. Do you think that it's more down to the fact that he just has that ability to terrify defenders with the fact he likes to run at them, he likes to just go forward all the time. It
Yeah.
gives defenders that total, I don't know whether to go left, go right, and then
I
that
think
gives Kane chance to move.
absolutely. I think it's a couple of things. I think it's just if anyone can get the ball to Kane in the box,
Yeah,
9 times out of 10 he's going to score,
true.
even when he's heavily marked. If you can get him the ball in the box, he will create a goal scoring opportunity.
Yep.
And I think, bless him, but Emerson Royale,
Yes,
he is not the guy. He is not
No.
the guy to get the ball to Kane in the box. This we know.
He was described on this podcast a couple of weeks ago as the place the ball goes for attacks to die.
Yeah, like literally. So
yeah.
So I think it's partly just anyone feed Kane the ball in the box. He's very likely to score, or at least make the goalkeeper do something, right? But I also just think I call him Kulu, by the way. I know people call him.
He likes
lots
to be
of
called
different names.
Decky.
Yeah.
I like to use his full name, which is Kulusexy.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I see what you've done there.
Thank you.
That's fresh.
Yeah.
So I call him Kulu, which I imagine no one else does. I don't know where I got that from, but it's stuck.
Yeah.
So apologies if that's going to irritate anyone, but that's what I call him.
Allow them to be irritated. It's part of the fun. We have the microphones.
Yeah, we've got total power.
Yeah.
I also like the way I've said, I call him Kulu, like I'm his mate, like I know him. Yeah, me and Kulu, we go way back. So I think so that was the first point. But the second point I think that's really important is that I still feel like he's relatively unknown. So I think there's a lot of defenders that are like, ooh, what's this guy? Like, obviously all the video analysis takes place these days, and I'm sure they've watched him, blah blah blah. But I think he does still have that element, and because he can play with both feet as well, because of that technical balance, it's a bit like he's got an absolute wand of a left foot.
It does,
but he can control the ball on his right as well. So I think that's always is the thing that is going to give you the advantage in 1v1 duels, right? Is which way is he going to go? But yeah, he's a threat for sure, and we have missed him sorely.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we've answered Chris on that one. Now the next one, he talks about central defenders. There's a thing with Spurs fans and Eric Dyer. I personally think Eric Dyer in the middle of the three is playing the best football of his Tottenham career. Personally, I love him there. I love Eric Dyer, and there's a song about that, but we won't sing it. And
Eric Dyer loves his fiance, I think.
I was going to ask, are you okay about that? Are you all right? I mean, I was a little concerned.
As with most of the Spurs population, I am still slightly crestfallen that has got engaged to someone who is not me.
Who is not you.
But I'm working through it. And thanks for your empathy.
You're welcome. I honestly thought then you were going to say I'm working on it, and I was thinking, should his fiance be worried? Yeah.
I've been following her for some time now.
Okay.
I reckon I can compete.
Yeah.
No.
I've just seen her leave Greg's. What? No. So sorry. Going back to I like Eric Dyer playing in the central defence. I think when he was younger under Pochettino, his athleticism being younger worked well as a defensive midfielder, but I think the goal was always for him. And I remember Leslie King talking about it at the time he played as a defensive midfielder, stepping back into the defence. That time as a DM will serve him well, and I think it has. I like him there. And if Tottenham are looking to buy additional central defenders, for me, I still would have Dyer, Romero, and possibly one over left-sided, because I like Ben Davies. I don't dislike Longley, but I just still think there's possibility of an upgrade there. What about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a well-known fact, isn't it, that our defence is pretty shambolic at the moment. I think the only thing that concerns, and I speak purely as a fan, I'm not speaking as a like qualified football coach now. I say this completely as a Spurs fan. I think the only thing that concerns me about Dyer in defence is that I feel like he's learning his craft there. And I'm like, I don't want you to be learning your craft in like first team Premier League games. I want you to have arrived and you know exactly what you're doing at any given moment. But having said that, if I put my coaching hat on, I think also any player in any position on the park can undergo like a crisis of confidence or just make a mistake, right? We can all just make a mistake because we're human beings and shit happens. Apologies, I don't know if I'm allowed to swear on this podcast.
Oh, yes, you can say whatever you like.
You have to bleep that out.
No. This is...
I mean, don't invite me to swear because I've got
this
proper potty mouth.
This is an explicitly rated podcast, and the only word that I ever have to beep out is Sol Campbell.
Oh, okay. But yeah, so I think... I don't know. Like, I agree with you. I think what I'm trying to say is I feel like he's growing into the role and that's great, but I don't really want someone growing into the role. Like, I want a good defence.
I mean, I'm starting to see why he chose his fiancée over you now. I mean, it's cruel.
I'm not completely supportive.
Do you think that it's kind of interesting, like for me, and it could just be a perception thing, and again, fans are often so guilty of this, me included, but it feels like he started the season so well and was very, very consistent. And then he got an England recall. And it feels like since then there have been errors. And I can't quite make my mind up if that is an Eric Dyer, perhaps, I've made it, I'm back, perhaps it's relaxed a little, which again is human, it's a very human thing. Or if we as a team have started to lose our levels in different areas and therefore the errors are coming more anyway, whether it's Eric or whether it's anybody.
Yeah, I do often feel like, I guess it depends on the error, isn't it? Like sometimes it can just be like a lapse in concentration. Like the other day when the ball just like hit his shoulder. Like, dude, that's not, he obviously didn't mean.
No, you launch that ball 100 times at him and 99 times he belts it away. That's just one of those things.
Exactly. But I think sometimes when we're trying to play forward, because I think this is what is infuriating me, and I'm sure every other Spurs fan at the moment, is that with our attacking prowess, like, it just infuriates me that I don't feel like we're playing to our strengths. I don't think we're making the most of what we have up front. And sometimes that's a problem in terms of movement. It's not just about, and that is linked to confidence as well, because it's about knowing what you're supposed to be doing, which seems like a really crazy thing to say about elite professionals. But when someone comes in, like on and he's very much like he's a puppet master. He is literally like, you run there, you stand there, you pass it there, he's going to come in here. Sometimes that can backfire a little bit, because what you do, and we know this so much in youth football, is that you take away the agency from the players and you take away their ability and their confidence to kind of choose for themselves, and you increase their anxiety around making mistakes. And so I'm not saying, like, I'm not diagnosing Spurs with that. I don't know, like, I'm not in that locker room. I'm not on that training pitch. I don't know the relationships Conte has with those players. There'll be some players that will work really well for them. There'll be other players where it doesn't work so well. But I just do feel at times that it looks, anyway, from the scraps that I managed to catch on like Match of the Day and stuff, I don't actually get to see many of their games in full. But it just looks like, it kind of looks a little bit like some of them don't really know what they're doing, for want of a better way to explain it.
It's interesting because you do see that with certain players, and I often look at that and, like, for example, Kane is phenomenal. He is world class, and yet there are some games where you're looking at and you're like, where is he? Is he moving a lot? Are they not able to find him because he's not moving? And it just seems strange that he's sort of an outcast in the game, and then he just comes deeper and deeper and deeper to get into the game, and then you need runners to go off him, and they're not running, and it just seems like a bizarre situation to get into. But the thing that I think I'm finding the strangest is that is the first half in every game. But in the second half, it's like the same players, and I can't quite compute it, because you look, like, if it happens once, you go, well, the manager gave his team talk hairdryer and out they came. But that cannot be happening every game because...
No, and it can't, like, it's not a sustainable strategy.
No.
Like, it's ridiculous.
No.
This, like I said, this is elite sport.
Yeah.
This is right at the top of the game, and that can't be a strategy.
No.
That's insane if it is.
We discussed on the show last week, the co-host for me then was my friend Stefan, and he said, perhaps it's a strategy. It's like the rope-a-dope, Muhammad Ali, let them run themselves ragged in the first half and then we'll come back. But, because the Liverpool game, for example, I didn't feel we played badly. Like, no. I watched that game and thought, other than two mistakes, glaring mistakes, that we were good. And I just looked at it and I wonder if, like, going into the Forest game, etc., there's an element of we ran ourselves into the ground, we were really great, and we lost. And then it kind of wandered into the Forest game without the real motivation in the League Cup, I think.
I question. I don't. Again, it's all speculation. What do we really know? Not a lot. But I question Conte's interest in the Carabao Cup.
Well, see, now I'm the same, but then he did put out a strongish, like Kane starting in that game. I just looked at him and thought, I don't get this.
I mean, that actually annoyed me, because I'm like, give the man a rest.
Well,
like,
because
I was actually annoyed that Kane started, but
I mean, Italy aren't even in the World Cup, so I don't think Conte's trying to sabotage us. Okay, we shall move on to the next question. Now, a feature on this show, as you would have already noticed, is the jingles and stuff. And there are several people who message in and email in so much that I made a joke once that I'd make them their own like intro thing if they ask a question.
Oh, wow.
I know. And because I did it once for one person, it then became a thing
dug
where
yourself a hole.
I really dug myself a hole, yeah. So this next question is from someone who has their own intro.
Oh, they're big in the game.
And now his name is Johnny Stark. He is from America. Mm-hmm. And because I thought... his Instagram is The Johnny Stark. Okay. And I thought that sounded like a game show.
Official.
Yeah, so this is what we did.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Johnny Stark Show. And here is his question.
See, I can't see you, so I don't know if you're laughing or just shaking your head with pity right now.
Is it Johnny? How are we spelling Johnny? Johny.
Johnnny.
Okay.
Yeah, the Johnny Stark. And he, I don't think there's a question here. I think it's more of a rant. He says, "That was awful," in reply to the League Cup. I can't lie.
I thought he was going to say in response to his jingle.
No. He loves it. Yeah, I can tell by the way he still messages every week. That was awful. I can't lie. I'm really struggling to even watch Tottenham right now, especially after being treated to such a delight with LAFC. His team just won with Gareth Bale scoring a goal for them, by the way. I know it's a lesser league.
In what game was this in response to? Which Spurs game?
He's talking in relation to us losing last night in the League Cup.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I know it's a lesser league, but the difference in a team that tries to win every game versus a team that tries not to lose is night and day. I think. What do you think to that last comment? That kind of hit home a little bit, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's tricky for me to comment on last night's game because I didn't see or hear any of it.
You are so lucky.
Because usually something that always astounds people, I'd go as far to say, is that I don't have the sports channels.
What?
Because they are, as I would say from South London, a thief. They're really expensive, and
I have not heard that in so long.
It's one thing to be put through the pain of Tottenham Hotspur, but to have to pay for the privilege.
Yeah.
I'm not really there yet. So so I don't. I have moments where I'll buy the pass and then I'm like, nah, actually, no. But yeah, so for quite a while, I haven't had access to
Well, it
live
wasn't
sport in my
televised
own
anyway.
home.
To be fair, it
Yeah,
was.
so I don't see. That's what I mean though when I say I don't actually see a lot of
Yeah,
Tottenham games. I did see the Liverpool game, and I agree with you. I actually think we really played really well in that game, and
yeah.
Liverpool awful at the moment, and it annoyed me even more that they won.
Oh
But
yes.
anyway, in terms of Forest last night, but in terms of Forest last night, yeah, I usually I would listen to a game like that on the radio,
Yeah.
but I didn't have access to it because the BBC chose other teams. So it's difficult for me to comment, but the fact, what I can only really go on is the Twitter response and also the scoreline.
Yeah.
And the fact is that, but it didn't sound as though we even created that
No.
many chances.
No, not until weirdly, not until late in the second half. Would you believe?
Oh,
I know, shocking. I actually tweeted. I don't know what minute it was. About the 60th minute, I think. I tweeted something like, "I've got to talk about Tottenham on a podcast tomorrow. I think I'll talk about the weather instead."
yeah, like okay, I mean, we can do that if you want. It's
We'll
quite
get,
grey and
around
bleak
to it.
here, so
Yeah,
it's probably
yeah,
the
same.
same conversation.
It is, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I think I don't know. I think the difficult thing with Spurs as well is that it's the whole, and then all the like, oh no trophies since comes out the woodwork. And I mean, I say come out the woodwork. They're not even in the woodwork. They're just
they're just everywhere constantly.
Yeah.
If a Twitter account or any sort of thing has the word Bible in it, they'll make that joke. Lad Bible, Sports Bible, all of them. It's like, oh, well done.
Yeah.
You've recycled that tweet for the 100th time. Genius.
Yeah, like come up with some new material.
My thing about the trophies, and I say this on a podcast all the time, is yes, of course, I love to watch us win stuff because I remember the 91 FA Cup like it was yesterday. It was a wonderful day. But other than that, I don't support my team to watch millionaires lift a bit of metal. I watch it for enjoyment, for the fun, for the camaraderie, for being a part of something. And I've got these amazing memories with Pochettino in charge, which no one will ever be able to take away from me. Like that whole era for me was some of the most joy and fun I've had as a Tottenham fan. And we didn't win anything, but I don't care.
Yeah.
And
said to someone the other day that I would genuinely rather finish fourth forever and watch them play like potchball.
Yeah.
Than because the thing is that at the moment it's not good football, but it's also like, yeah, we're kind of there or thereabouts, but for how long? Like, I don't feel like it doesn't seem sustainable.
No, it's a very weird season though, and I've said that so much I'm bored of hearing myself say it, because with the World Cup causing a break, if you look at the way Conte plans things, this kind of meticulous planning, he would have looked at this season and gone, right, here's the goal. By the World Cup break, we want to be competitive for the top four, still in the Champions League. I don't care about the League Cup. I can guarantee that guy would have just been like, don't care.
Yeah, whatever that is.
Yeah, whatever the point that is. But that would have been his goal, and I think he would have designed it and made everything to hit that goal.
Yeah.
And you've already seen his press conferences change now because we've gone through in the Champions League. He knows, looking at the fixtures and the results, we are going to be there in the top four in the mix. His press conferences have changed now straight away to, we need to change things in January. We need transfer.
Yeah.
And that's how his mind works. He just has goals, and then straight away it's on to, he's now thinking of, okay, post World Cup.
Yeah.
So it's going to be weird because no one knows what fitness levels or injuries people are going to come back from the World Cup with.
I mean, I have
teams
been
could be
saying,
devastated.
I have been saying since like maybe week 3 that Arsenal are going to get destroyed by this World Cup.
Possibly,
because that's what I'm hoping for.
I've
got, I've basically been speaking it into existence. I've been manifesting that Arsenal will not be able to maintain this foolishness that is currently taking place.
I agree.
And that they will just crumble and just fall apart post World Cup. And if that doesn't happen, then I will be very quiet in a corner.
I don't even want to think about it. I can't. One of my best friends is a Gooner, and we have a bet every season. Whoever finishes higher, the other person has to do a forfeit. For years and years, and we've been friends since school, so for years I was tortured. I mean, me and you are the same age, so you know what that time was like.
Yes.
I was tortured.
Yes,
so for the last 5-6 years, I've been horrible. now she,
You're
now,
like got your own back.
you will love this, okay? Now, she got married a few summers ago, right? And obviously, when a lady gets married, she wants to update her Facebook and social media, a beautiful picture of her in her wedding dress. Her forfeit was she had to update her Facebook and all of her social medias for 3 months of her in a Tottenham shirt.
That's brutal, man.
It was, wasn't it?
That's brutal.
It's amazing she still talks to me, really. But the best thing was all of her family commenting, going, "What? Have you changed which football team you love?" And part of the
Are
forfeit.
you not now concerned though that what might be in store for you?
I'm terrified now. I felt so cocky at the time. They were so far behind us. We were doing so well. We were flying. And then Jose came in, and ever since then, I've just been terrified. So, yeah, this season, I'm looking at it right now, just thinking, please, something happen. Please.
Yeah.
Allow all of their players to be injured at the World Cup. Allow one of them to finally go to jail like he should be. And then please allow us to improve. And then, and that's basically where my head is.
Well, I mean, here's hoping. Right?
Yeah.
Something's got to happen. This cannot go on.
No,
it cannot.
No, it's just silly if that happens. The next one is here we go. Now you're gonna love this, I think, because it is a grey, horrible day. This is someone else on Instagram who has his own theme. Now this guy's Instagram handle is Island Brother, so I did this.
Now it's time for a comment from Island Brother.
Yep, I really did do this. He loves it, by the way. And the funniest thing is no one, and please, you might know it, so don't say it. No one's worked out what that actual song is.
Oh, okay. I mean, I think I do, but I don't want you to.
Yeah, don't, because if someone actually says it, I think they'll do me for copyright.
But
anyway.
Paying royalties.
Yeah, exactly. Island Brother says, "Hola mis amigos de las Spurs." He says, "See, Tottenham have got me typing in Spanish. Another week, the same old questions. So here's a new one. Do either of you fancy Ruslan Malinovsky, the Ukrainian from Atalanta, as there are rumours linking us to him?"
I do not know who that is, so...
Thank you, because I haven't got a clue either. So I feel a lot better, because if you just started talking like an expert then, I'd have been Googling so fast to try and keep up with you. Truthfully, Island Brother, sir, is not a player I'm aware of, so I don't know. I tend to have a group of journalists that I follow that I know if they say something, I tend to pay more attention to it. None of them have mentioned that name.
I mean, maybe if Island Brother can give us some more information about the player, then we can form a view. But yeah, at the moment, I don't.
Yeah, messaging again so that way I get to play that theme again, please, Island Brother, because it cheers me up every week.
I mean, who doesn't love steel pans?
Exactly. See, you know it. So we're now moving across to Facebook, and Tom Perk says, "We are crying out for a creative midfielder. Is Maddison the answer? What do you think?"
Ooh.
There's a rumour he's been left out the England squad, by the way.
I was going to say, because at the time of recording,
yes,
we don't know who's in the World Cup squad.
And I am, but in the background, I'm refreshing like mad, by the way. Keeping an eye on it.
I think it's 2 p.m, isn't it?
It is 2 p.m. and it's 1:30 now, but a few journalists have been leaking the list. And
leaky.
Yes.
A journalist leaking something.
Apparently James Maddison is now in the squad.
Yeah, I've got a feeling he would be. But
Eric Dyer's in. Sorry, I've just seen this.
Is this confirmed?
This is coming from Sammy, who's a Daily Mail journalist. So pinch of salt. I feel bad now.
I think it's really hard to talk about the midfield because I just get really overly sentimental and slightly sad about Moussa Dembele.
Yeah.
So I I think, are we crying out for? I feel, and I felt this way for a while at Spurs, is that I feel like we've kind of got the individual components. Do you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
just feel like for whatever reason it's not quite working. I feel like there's a bit of a disconnect between units. I feel
Yeah.
like there's a disconnect midfield, and then there's a disconnect between the midfield and the strikers, and that's not my job to fix that.
No.
But
I
I feel
I
like
feel like I know what you're saying there, but do you? I don't know about you, whether you find it frustrating. To me, is like every now and again you see it really click, and it's like, wow, that was actually really quite impressive. Why aren't you doing that more?
yeah.
But it is so rare.
Like honestly, I do think we played pretty well against Liverpool.
Yeah, me too.
And I don't like that either. I don't like you can't just. I mean, I wouldn't even describe Liverpool as one of the big boys this season. Yeah, I said it.
Yeah.
But I don't like that mentality of like you only turn up for the big boys. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like no, like it's a cliche, but it's true as cliches are. Like there are no easy games in the Premier League.
No.
It's the Premier League. Like don't disrespect anyone. And yeah, so I feel like we kind of. I don't know. I just feel like it was quite good against Liverpool, and still we lost. But then we've had games that we would have lost last season that we've either drawn or got 3 points from.
Yeah.
And I think the thing about Conte ball, and I tweeted this a little while ago, is that when you win, it's kind of like you can sort of reason it to yourself.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, yeah, it was a bit dull and it was a bit nervy at the end, but we got 3 points. So woo, on to the next one.
Yeah.
But when you lose, there are no redeeming features to it because it just feels like you sat back, and then you conceded, and then you tried to go for it, but it was too late.
I think I suppose, but I'm not convinced that this first half thing is Conte ball. It feels like there's some issue.
No, I don't think that's his plan as
No.
such. But I just mean, even when we weren't doing that as much, it's still there is still a defensive style of play.
Oh yeah,
with
definitely.
him.
He has
And
a.
I just don't know why.
First policy.
Yeah, and I just don't know why you would apply. I'm very much one for, because I get asked all the time as a football coach, like, oh, have you got a session for this, or have you got a session I can borrow for that?
Yeah.
And what I always say to coaches is, I've got some ideas that I could talk to you about, but I do not have a session for your players because I do not coach your players. So therefore, your problems with your players are not my problems.
Yeah.
So I've got solutions for different problems.
Yeah.
And what I don't understand is that I feel like Conte's almost imposing a style of play on a set of players who are not geared up to play in that way.
I think that's probably. I think that's absolutely nail on the head. And I think if you look at his, someone did a great thing yesterday on Twitter. I know, great on Twitter, an oxymoron, but he broke down Conte in different roles and the transfer windows. And for example, Inter Milan, where he took them from languishing to winning the title, he had 3 windows where he signed 7, then 11 players, then 4. Well, that's a completely different first team squad, really. You know, barring probably 5 players, you've completely transformed the whole thing. But in doing that, he did go from them languishing mid-table to winning the Gazzetta. Now, if, for example, in Tottenham, you look at it, he is the type of coach that goes, this is my system, this is how my teams play, and I know it works. So you either adapt to that or I swap you. But the thing is I'm not convinced Enoch and Daniel Levy are the type of owners that go for that. I don't, and it's kind of like ever since he joined us, I've always been kind of like, okay, I'm pleased we've attracted one of the genuine big coaches in world football, but I just don't see this being a marriage that works. It just has always felt that way. But I mean, I want it to work, desperately want it to work, but I'm just not, at the moment, I'm still not convinced. But going back to the original question, I welcome James Maddison. I think he's a very talented football player. I think David Pleat cried because he recommended him to us and we could have signed him for about 5 million 5 years ago, but we didn't.
Yeah.
But,
I wouldn't. I don't. Unless anything comes out the woodwork that I don't yet know of. I don't have any issues with James Maddison.
Cool. It's sad that we got to say that about players more and more, in there.
Right? I mean, this is the reality, but yeah.
It is a horrible...
Let's not bring ourselves
No,
down.
let's not depress ourselves too much. The next one is from Ben Thierry, who says, okay, this one's going to be a little bit more fun. From the current Tottenham squad, pick a five-a-side team. He picked Lloris in goal, Dyer and Romero, Bentancur and Kane.
Oh, okay.
So
you know what? Can I just say I love Bentancur?
Absolutely, I do too. I think he's just come away this season as probably our best player at the moment.
That's what I was. You know, someone asked about Kulu earlier. Like that's what I was going to say. Actually, I think it's Bentancur.
Yeah.
Like the signing because, I really like him.
Yeah. No, I'm the same. He's one of those players that he always seems to have that little bit of time and always is looking to do something, always looking to bring the ball. And he also makes himself available relentlessly, which
I think I like his spirit as well, though. Like he plays like it matters to him.
Well, you look at a few players, and I'm not going to pick names out for this, but there are definitely a few players who are coasting to the World Cup. And then there are others who are still playing every game like it's a World Cup final.
Yeah.
And Bentancur's one of them.
And Bentancur's got a bit of like shithousery to him as well. And I've got so much time for that. Like I'm really missing Lamella. And I feel like Bentancur's slightly helped fill that void a little bit.
Him and Romero together have filled that void for me. But the fact that we need two players to make up for the one level of shit.
I mean, you were always like, you can't replace Lamella in that respect. But
him getting Martial sent off at Man United and then smiling at him and winking at the ref is still probably my highlight. It was amazing.
And the Rabona against Arsenal.
Yeah.
I mean,
a legend for all the wrong reasons probably, but I loved him. Yeah. So go on, five-a-side team.
I don't know that mine would be. I mean, of it, like the from the top and the bottom, like it's got to be.
Well, Hugo,
be Harry,
Kane.
Like I mean, I'm not going to say anything else, am I? No. But I don't think mine would be too dissimilar. Who did he had? He had Dyer and
he had Dyer, Romero, and Bentancur with Kane and Hugo.
That's pretty solid, you know.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if in five-a-side though, I might just be a bit riskier at the back.
Well, I was thinking I'd maybe swap Dyer with Sonny.
Yeah, like I think I'd probably go like just Romero.
Yeah, because Bentancur can cover.
And also like Hugo, come on.
Yeah.
Like I know Hugo gets a lot of stick, and I know at times
he's phenomenal. I'm not. When he makes a mistake, I just go, didn't happen. Glitch in the matrix.
I just go, you know what, human being.
Yeah.
So, but I still think that is. I don't know how we've had him for all this time. Is what I'm trying to say.
No,
it's a scam, and I'm really proud that we've achieved it. But
I think there was a time he very came close to leaving, and Pochettino came in, and I think he looked at what was going on and thought, no, I like this, and stayed. And then there was a moment where he made a massive mistake drink driving, and the club stood by him, and I think that was it. I think that was him.
Locked in.
I think probably winning the World Cup with France also helped him achieve a little bit of that trophy. You know, I've gone through my career and anyone says, oh, what did you win? I won the World Cup and I was captain. Go bite me, you know. Do you
remember that, though? Even when like when they were coasting towards the end of that, it's like, like doing Cruyff turns in his own box or whatever the hell he was doing on his goal line. I just love him.
Yeah, well, irreplaceable, but unfortunately, we have reached a point we do need to replace him.
Have to.
But here's the thing that's kind of amazing is he's working on that himself. He's apparently working with the scouting group to identify the next keeper.
Gosh, they've really got something on him, haven't they?
Yeah. I think that drink driving might have been the tip of the iceberg, but let's move on quickly.
Oh, God. Yeah. So I think with him in goal, I'd probably just go Romero at the back.
Yeah,
and then just
Romero.
A bit more license to roam, bit of a link up. Bentancur, and then maybe a bit of a Sonny Harry link up. Because when that is firing,
Yeah, it
Can't
is something
beat
else. No, I think we've agreed. I think I'm with you on that. A question from Alan Mountain Hewitt, who says, "When are we likely to win a game?" I think that was
that. A
possibly.
game?
Yeah, I think that looking at the time that was posted, I think that was about 5 minutes after full time last night. I think Alan might have been a
fair
little
enough.
bit
He
depressed.
was in the depths.
He was not in a good place.
I think I've got a lot of time and respect for Leeds. I do.
Yeah.
And I don't think it will be an easy, because as I've said, there's no easy games in the Premier League. But and maybe this is just more hope than, I don't know, intuition.
You are a Tottenham fan. All there is for care basically stands for hope.
Exactly, right.
More hope than expectation.
I just really, we got to win that game, because you can't go into a major tournament and that's it as a club. You've just left it on some sour.
So here's a question for you, okay? So
that's when we'll win again.
You are a Tottenham fan and you are an England football fan. You are a Harry Kane fanatic. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you want to see Kane play the full game against Leeds?
Oh, that's such a good question. The thing is, though, I'm also really like bad vibes about this World Cup. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not. It's the World Cup no one actually wants to win. If we're honest,
it's the World Cup that I'll tell you this now, actually, because this could be a good segue. Anyway, last week someone messaged in a question: "Are you actually going to watch the World Cup? Because I'm boycotting it." And it was the first time someone had put the question to me directly, and I genuinely was on the podcast a little bit. I feel awful. I am probably going to watch it because I love watching football and it is the World Cup. At the same time, yeah, you're kind of right. This is awful. So
I've convinced myself that I can do both. I've convinced myself that you can watch the World Cup and support your team.
Yeah.
And also make some noise about some really awful shit that is taking place and has taken place for this World Cup,
and will unfortunately continue to take place. Because...
and I think both are possible. And I don't know if that's just a cop out from me or what, and people can say and feel what they want. But I basically I will be supporting England in this World Cup, which means I will be watching the England games. What I don't feel is excitement.
No.
For the tournament. Like, usually I'd like have my wall chart up. Do you know what I mean? I'd be like, oh, that game's on then. I'm gonna have to take a long lunch break then. Do you know what I mean? I'd be mapping it all out, and I'd be like, and I'd have all the fixtures. Phone, not just England fixtures. All fixtures.
Well, no,
I haven't done that this year
because at a World Cup you get some games that are just, you want to watch Portugal, Spain. Yeah, I want to watch that. You want to watch France, Germany. Absolutely, I do. It just. Yeah,
but the thing is, like, I will watch any game I can get hold of. Like, honestly, like when it comes to a tournament, because they're all screened on terrestrial television,
they are.
which I do have.
Yes.
I've got access to all of it, and I will watch any fixture, because especially in tournament football, you never know. On paper, games might look amazing, but actually in real life, even the games that look a bit, they can turn out to be the gems of the tournament.
Absolutely.
But this year, I'm like, no, I'll probably just watch England games, to be honest.
I said this last week on the podcast. When it comes to a major event, I tend to watch all of it. Like, even the Winter Olympics comes on, I watch all of it. I become a curling expert within like 5 days of the whole thing happening. And the Olympics, Summer Olympics, I watch it all. And so the World Cup, I know I will. So I don't want to say to people like, no, I'm going to boycott it. It's the right thing to do because I know I'm going to want to watch it. Yeah. But at the same time, it is well worth thinking about. We have a final question. It's from someone else who again has his own little.
Sorry, did we answer the other question though? Because I felt like we asked the question and then we went into the World Cup.
We both agreed that yes, we're going to beat Leeds.
Oh, okay,
yeah, because we're Tottenham fans and we're hopeful.
Oh no, you asked me. Do I want Harry Kane to play against Leeds?
I did ask that. Yes.
I knew there was a little question in there.
So I'm glad you're here. I'd have forgotten.
That's all right. I want here. I don't want so the point of this as well is that basically I kind of don't want England to do well in this World Cup. I don't actually think we will anyway, because I don't think we're in a great place right now.
Agreed.
I think we'll probably be like last 16, maybe quarterfinals, but I don't think like, I don't think it's going to be our tournament, basically.
As long as we beat the USA and Wales, I have friends in both, and as long as we do that, I'm okay.
My brother-in-law's American,
There you
so
go.
I think we're actually going to watch that one together.
Yeah,
so
she is dangerous.
Be,
we have a lot of American listeners to this show, and I've been getting crap for weeks.
You'll never hear the end of it. Yeah,
I won't ever.
So I think about Harry Kane playing, like, I kind of do want him to play in the Premier League game. Like, I didn't want him to play last night, or at least didn't want him to start last night. But I do want him to play against Leeds, at least start, because I want us to secure the 3 points there. But also, I don't think we'll play that many games in the World Cup, dare I say it. We'll probably go on and win it now, and then it'll be awful, because it'll be like, no, you weren't supposed to win this one.
Yeah, we won the World Cup in '66, and then we won the other one. we'll be the forever. Yeah, remember '66?
The dodgy one.
You've won it twice, didn't you? Yeah. We don't talk about that one.
Yeah.
So yeah, we do have this comment now. This is from a gentleman called Ryan Miller. Now, Ryan, I'm going to apologise to you. You do have your own jingle, but unfortunately, I didn't load it into the desk this week, so you can shout at me. I'm awful. I'm terrible.
Could you sing it, or
no? But thank you for bringing that up. See, this is why you're not on here very often. Ryan says actually there is something Ryan does say, which will make you laugh. Because, and I know these jingles have been making you laugh the whole time anyway, but this next one's genius. So Ryan says, I personally think some of the criticism being directed at Conte is a little harsh. He's working with the best he has available, and we have improved massively since He Who Shall Not Be Named. Now, the reason why he said that is because we have a tradition on this podcast that we do not mention the name Nuno.
Okay.
Do you know the song We Don't Talk About Bruno?
No, I don't.
You don't know the Disney film? We don't talk about Bruno. No. That one, yeah?
It's ringing bells, but is that from quite a recent film?
Yeah.
I haven't seen... I'm not that clued up on my recent, really recent Disney.
Okay, well, we will be discussing that off air. That's something me and you need to get into. But a wonderful fellow Tottenham fan called Tom Mitchell did this for me.
We don't talk about no. We don't talk about no.
I mean...
So now that I've heard that remix,
Yeah.
I do know the original that you mean. But I've seen that film, but I do know.
So
is it
in Canto?
I don't know what.
Yeah. So basically, anytime someone says the word Nuno, this happens.
We don't talk about no.
Although Ryan didn't technically say it, he was very polite.
That's exactly why he didn't write it. However, because I knew you'd find it funny, I did it anyway. So it's going to be driving him insane right now. It's like, I was so careful not to say it. He basically goes on to say, do you feel the criticism of Conte is harsh, or do you think it's fair?
I mean, I guess it depends whose criticism you've read, right? Some of it I feel is quite balanced. Some of it irrational, as football fans tend to be.
No, never.
I think as ever with these things, and I'm really sorry to give the really boring, level-headed response, but I am a coach and I can't quite shake it. Although I am taking a break at the moment, so I am getting more into the zone of just being a fan again. But once you've studied something, it's hard to completely switch that off. But I just think, as much as we like to think we do, we don't know. We don't know behind the scenes. No. Like Jed Spence, for example. Yeah. There's a very hot topic at the moment. Like, give this guy a game, give this guy a game. Yeah. Now, it may just be that for whatever reason, Conte didn't like him. Or he just genuinely doesn't think he's ready, or it doesn't fit with what Conte is currently trying to do. And come January, it might be slightly different. And then he's like, now this is your time to shine. Yeah. What I hope from a human level is that Conte has had those conversations with that individual, so that they know what's going on. Like, I hope the relationship management is there.
There has been interviews with both Jed and Conte, because Conte his turn of phrase when the club signed Jed Spence was, he is a good club signing, and people really dived on that. And what people tend to forget, especially in England, I think, because a lot of foreign coaches are so used to the director of football format, which is more common here now, but people are still so kind of entrenched in the Alex Ferguson era and managers that out where they controlled everything, every transfer. I think what Conte was trying to get across is he might not be first team this season for me, but he's a good signing for the club. You know, I rate him. Yeah. And that was what he was trying to... Yeah.
He's not a today player, but he's a Spurs DNA player. Yeah. But I think, like... Yeah. I think to answer this question around is the criticism of Conte, like, justified or fair or whatever... I guess in many respects it never can be because of any manager in any situation, because you don't know, so you're just basing it on a feeling which is very like emotional and probably slightly irrational, and I get it, and that's football fandom, and that's part of my enjoyment of the game too, but you never know behind the scenes, so it's really difficult to form a fair opinion of something when you don't have all the information to hand. It's a bit like choosing a World Cup squad. That tournament squads have to take so much into consideration that is worlds away from club football. And it's not as going, who's playing really well for his club at the moment, therefore he should be on the plane. Like, it doesn't work like that.
If that was an impression of me, I think it was very good.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't farmer enough, but yeah. It
was just sort of like generic armchair. I'm probably gonna like.
I felt it because I basically feel like I had that. I said those exact words about James Maddison earlier today. Like, he has to go. He's like so in form. He's the best player for his club right now. And now I feel stupid.
Well, it's just because there's so many factors, and I don't want to patronise anyone, but there are so many factors in terms of like tournament football. You're away for a long time. Like, even if you're not successful in the tournament, you're still together as a camp for quite a long time. Someone's got to vibe with that. Someone's got to want to do that and get on with that. You've got to get on with the other players. You've got to get on with.
Speaking to my background, at the end of every season, I played rugby and I coached rugby, and there would always be a tour. And when I got to a more senior level, those tours weren't just, go to Cornwall for drinking all weekend and play a game. These were actual serious, go to another country, play 10 games in a sort of period of time. And I always remember when I got selected for a squad, I remember I'd have an interview and I'd sit down and I'd have to discuss, and I'd talk about my family, and they'd ask me questions and everything like that. And I always, when I was younger, didn't really get that. I was like, what? It's like, what possible reason could they have had to talk to me randomly about what pets do I have? All this kind of, they just want to have a conversation with me. Now I'm older, I realise it's because they were putting together a group of 30 18-year-olds, and that's combustible. And if you're going to take someone on tour who was a royal pain in the ass, who, you could wreck the morale of the group. So exactly. I think that's basically just saying that now with selecting a squad for a tournament. You put someone in there, they might be the best player there is, but if they are just going to wind everybody up and everyone's going to hate them, it's a nightmare.
But for the welfare of the others, but for the welfare of that individual as well. But also, so there's all of that to consider, absolutely. And then there's also, someone might be playing really well for their club at the moment because of the system that club plays.
True.
England might not play that system. Yeah. So they might not be being asked to play in that role. They might need to be played in another slightly different role. Are they capable of it? Are they interested in it? Like, there's just so much. And they have, like, Gareth Southgate, for example, has endless amounts of data to inform that decision. We do not have that data, so we cannot we're not best placed to make that decision. I'm not saying he always gets it right, but I just think everyone who thinks that they could create the best England squad, it's like, but you might change your mind if you had all the data available that he's got.
Very true. That was a very good answer.
Thank you.
Very, very, very balanced, very fair. typically it would have just been like, no, I know better. But no.
I mean, I will be screaming at the TV when we're shit in the World Cup. Like,
Yeah.
let's not get this twisted.
Yeah, good. I feel better now. I'm glad you've admitted that. I feel that's good. Obviously, we're not going to touch any more on the World Cup, really, because obviously all the controversy and everything around it, I think is well documented. Everyone knows. And we've discussed how we feel about that. We were confident going into the Leeds game, he says, laughing to himself. I think going into this break, and we touched on it a little bit earlier on, it is a really odd season. And part of me thinks to myself, if after the World Cup we are playing better football because things have connected better, perhaps we have made a couple of signings which make that same impact that Kulusevski and Bentancur did for us January last year, all of a sudden everything that happened before the World Cup's forgotten. So if I was planning, like I said about Conte being someone who I think meticulously plans everything from his day to everything, I would think to myself that, to a certain extent, just get to that World Cup, competitive for top four, still in the Champions League, give me these couple more players and then watch me go afterwards. So from my point of view, because it's such an odd season, my judgment's purely reserved for what comes after the World Cup.
The end, yeah.
Because at the end of the season, we'll judge on how we've played, what we're doing. Now, Conte is so combustible. We could lose the Leeds at the weekend, the players look awful, and he could just quit because he is so combustible. But of course, the thing, and I can't make my mind up, and I'll put this to you because I know your feelings on Pochettino are very, very similar to mine. Do you feel that there is an element of Tottenham fans, because there's a lot of people today just like, oh, Conte's got to go, this is rubbish. And I mean, a lot across social media. It's actually quite surprised me. Do you think the fact that Pochettino's currently out of work feeds into that? Because Tottenham fans feel like they have this, I don't know, almost given right that he'd love to come back to us. If all of a sudden we were managerless, come home, come back and save us kind of thing. I mean, I don't know. It just seems to be like a factor. It's like a sword dangling above whoever is in the Tottenham manager's seat. If Pochettino's available, it's like, doesn't matter about your reputation. He is still, for many, many fans, the chosen one. So what do you think?
I think it would be interesting to see the like on a graph, like the correlation between fans who are Conte out and Poch in, because I a lot of fans who are Conte out but not Poch in.
Yeah,
so
that's probably
it
true.
would be interesting just to know how many, like percentage wise, how many.
I know a certain account known as Bankrupt Spurs who he's basically campaigning for Juventus to come in for Conte.
To get Poch back.
He makes me laugh. So yeah.
So I think Poch will come back.
Yeah.
I do. I think it's written in the stars. I think he will be back. I don't think now is necessarily the right time, even though he's out of work. And don't get me wrong, like I said, if I would rather finish fourth with Poch forever than anything else. So if Poch did come back, in February, that I wouldn't argue that. No. But I don't think that is what is going to happen.
No, I don't.
But I do think he will come back at some point. But I personally think Conte out is a bit rash. Yeah. I think that is too soon. I know some people will disagree with that very passionately, as they are entitled to. Yeah. But I kind of agree with you in the sense that Conte's not an idiot and he will have a game plan for a season, not for a game by game, but for a whole season. Yeah. And I think none of us know, as you say, none of us know what is going to happen in this World Cup. There could be some horrific injuries. I pray not for anyone. I don't.
Of course, I'm the same as you.
Happen to any footballer.
Well, okay, there's one player I want.
But
go on.
Yeah, I mean, there's some that I wouldn't mind breaking their legs, but we'll see what happens. But I think because no one is in control of that, basically. Certainly not club managers.
No.
And so I think because we don't know, I mean, the only certainty about this World Cup is that Haaland is just going to get stronger and stronger and stronger, and that's terrifying
So
because he's
terrifying.
not playing and he's just going to be resting and then in the gym.
I did see a really funny tweet yesterday that England have contacted the Norwegian FA to see if there's any way they could do a deal to transfer Haaland for the World Cup. And I did see another one which made me laugh. Said to make the World Cup more interesting, Erling Haaland is allowed to play for any team, and basically they're allowed to bring him on as a sub for 20 minutes.
Oh yeah,
I was just laughing my head off, thinking, wow,
Super
we've got to this point where that guy's. I mean, I said on the podcast, I personally think he's a Norse god that's reassumed human form just to play football for a while for fun. Because he's huge.
He's otherworldly.
He is so fast, so strong. He's good with both. He's good at everything, and it's just so frustrating.
But because we don't. Basically, I guess my answer is because we don't really know what is going to happen in this World Cup. All club managers are just going to have to see where they're at. Yeah. And I think Conte deserves the chance to see where he's at. Basically,
no, of course, I agree.
See out the season.
I do also think that there's something that not necessarily forgotten, but I think that's something that's been. I think fans have got very short memories, and it wasn't that long ago that Tottenham's head fitness coach died. And I think that's had a massive impact on this squad. You only had to see the reaction from the players and to know how much they loved him. And by the way, if a fitness coach is loved, that guy must be wonderful. Yeah.
No, it's a really good shout. And I think, as ever, it's easy that these ridiculously overpaid sports players, because that's all they are. Yeah. They are human beings too, and that will have had an impact. And it was the anniversary, like it would have been Ugo Ehiogu's birthday the other day, and like those things are felt. They are felt in like football clubs are families. Like we feel that as fans, and it's very much true for the people that work for those clubs as well. Yeah. And it will have been a desperate loss, and it would have been really painful.
Not just the players, Conte and his coaching team. I mean, they've been together and known each other for a long time.
Yeah, well, you saw the impact it had on Conte. He didn't hide that, and I think that's really important as well as a reminder. That these people are human beings, and
it felt like we've kind of limped towards the end of this segment of the season, and maybe that's why. Maybe it is just an emotional.
Maybe everyone just needs a break and like a well-being rest. And good luck to the players who are not going to get that, including the England squad that is now live, and I can confirm that James Maddison is in.
Okay, now
in the England squad.
Is Eric Dyer in?
He is in.
Oh, there we go. Is that other bloke Harry Kane made it by any chance?
Harry Kane scraped through.
Oh,
might
he's lucky
be like
to be
a
there.
bench
To be
player.
fair, lucky to be there.
Probably come on around like the sort of 85-minute mark. I reckon.
Yeah. If he's lucky, to be fair.
Yeah, if he's lucky.
Oh, okay, well, I'm delighted with that. I'm delighted for Eric Dyer. I know how much that'll mean to him.
Trips is. I'm still a big fan of Trips. Like Trips.
Yeah, do you
always be in my heart.
Do you ever have that moment where you think to yourself, "I wish we'd had that player with this manager"?
Yeah, constantly.
Trippier under Conte would have been another level, don't you think?
Well, I was just always heartbroken when Trips. Yeah, I just never wanted to lose Trippier. I was always a fan of Trips, so I'm biased. But yeah.
No. Okay. Yeah. Well, that is it. That is our discussion about all things Tottenham. Have you enjoyed being on the show, first of all?
I have very much enjoyed it.
So do you think
which is why I decided to come back for a second time. Thanks
it is.
So much
do you think I could get you back again a little bit sooner this time?
Other than like a year and a half.
Maybe.
I think it has been about 18 months.
It has. Yeah, it has. Yeah. I checked.
I mean, I've been busy. In my defence, I've been busy.
I've been busy. It's like, you get that. You hear that sometimes when you ask a lady out. I've been busy. Yeah, no, it's fine. I know you have. I follow your social media. I know how busy you are. But yeah, thank you very much for coming on again. I know everyone really appreciates your opinions when you're on, so it's great. So thank you very much.
Oh, that's great. It's a privilege to be on.
Good. Well,
Yes, like let's come maybe end the season, depending on how depressed we are.
yeah, well,
We can
yeah,
get together
yeah,
for like a
that's-
boo-hoo or a yeah.
Yeah. We'll see how it ends. We'll see.
Yeah.
Because sometimes perhaps we might get to a point and just go, do you know what? The show's just going to be me going, yeah, see you next year. But thank you very much for joining. A big thank you to everybody again for listening. The Spurs News Podcast will be back again next week.
Thank you for listening to the Spurs News Podcast. We hope that you enjoyed the show. Stay up to date with all things Tottenham. Follow us on social media. All links are in the podcast description.